Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new, welcome. My name is Jen. Welcome to Jen Plans. So we are doing something a little bit different today. We are doing our reading wrap up for the summer months. So I usually do a little bit on TikTok here and there with my books, but I've been getting a lot of requests from people asking about what I do, what I read, what I'm currently reading. So I thought, hey, this might be a good opportunity for us to kind of sit down and I can show you what I've been reading. So I've got a list here of everything that I've read. This does include audiobooks. I did a lot of walking this year, so we took our audiobooks with us everywhere we went. So I've got those here as well, which I will mention. So these are just really going to be a yes, no, maybe. I'm not going to give a lot of detail. I'm just going to tell you whether I think that they are worth reading. And again, this is just my opinion. So if you don't agree with something, then you don't have to read it, or you do. It's up to you. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the month of June, we first started with the fourth out of the fifth book of one of these series by K.D. I can't remember what her name is, but I will insert a picture here now. It was called Surrender to Me. So I gave this book a 4 out of 5. Only because I did really enjoy the series. It was very spicy, but it was also really good with the storyline. So I gave that one a 4.5 or 4 out of 5. The next one I read was actually part of the series, which I am maybe a little bit late to the game, but we have the Housemaid series. So this is the first book, and I actually really liked this book. I was scared because if you followed, I think it was a couple months back, but I read Never Lie by Freida McFadden, and I know everyone loved that book, but I didn't get the hype about it and I didn't really like it. So I was really afraid to start picking up more of her books, but this one I really did enjoy. Along with that, then came the second book. So I did read both of these in June. This one I gave a 4 out of 5, I believe it was. And then I actually gave this one a 3.5. So I like this one a lot better. They're both very fast-paced books, but I would say that this one was definitely my favorite. And because I didn't really like the second one all that much, I haven't read the third one yet. I know that it's out there, but I haven't read it yet. So those were the first ones that I read that I enjoyed. I did read another audiobook called The Silent Woman. I gave this one, what did I give this one? I think I gave this one a 4 out of 5 or 3.5 out of 5. It was very interesting. So for me, yes, definitely a good read. If you are into kind of like mystery thrillers, I like that one. The next one that I read was called A Touch of Darkness. This one I would recommend. It's very almost fantasy. It was really interesting for me. I actually really liked it. It kind of gave me like fairy tale-esque, but rated R. So I would recommend that one, yes. And that was it for kind of June for me. June was a really slow reading month for me because I had a lot of things going on work-wise. But in July, we started reading the Penelope Douglas Devil's Night series, I think it was. So the first one of that was Corrupt, and I gave this one, sorry, I'm just looking at my list here. I gave that one a 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy that. If you are somebody who does not like gore and spice mixed, you may not like that. It's very kind of gross sometimes almost, but I did really enjoy it. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and for me, it was a yes. The next one was a physical book here, and it is the Butcher and the Blackbird series. I say maybe to this one. I gave it a very gracious 3 out of 5. I really had a hard time getting into this book, and the more that I'm kind of researching it and more that I'm seeing people say the same thing, I feel like I'm not alone. It was very hard for me to get into. Again, a lot of really gory scenes. They are serial killers, so I guess that's probably a reason why. The second half of it I did get into and I really enjoyed it, but for me it was a maybe if you want to continue reading it. The next book I read was a physical book, and it was called The Husbands. For me, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. I'd probably stretch that a little bit. I would probably say I'd give it a 3. Reason being, for me, it was just very slow. I feel like for how thick the book is, it could have probably been portrayed in like half this. It was really cute, but then it just started to get a little bit monotonous. Same things happening over and over again. I like the idea of it. It was very funny, but again, slow burn for me. So maybe TS for me. Okay, and then the next one I read, I actually have the physical copy of this. So it was Daisy Jones and the Six. This one I absolutely loved. I listened to it on audio. So for me, very, very interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that when you have the physical book, it's not as easy because there are a lot of different characters in this. So I thought that listening to it would be different. Definitely was. Definitely worth it. It was narrated perfectly. Everyone was kind of like fitting the part. So for me, I think I gave this one a 4. Yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. So definitely a yes on that one. Okay, the next one that I have is another one that I have the physical copy of, and I did read this simultaneously with the audiobook. So as I started to get into it, I watched a lot of videos that did let me know that this one was very different on audio. This one did make me cry. It was very beautifully written, very emotional. And I do love how in the actual booklet, like all of the letters are actually handwritten. Like it's a little bit different, but there's little things that make it a little bit more personal. So for me, I think I gave this one a 4.5. No, I gave this one a 5-star. This was my, I think I had like 2 5-star reads, and this was one of them. So I love this book. Okay, the next book that I read in July was another Frida book, which I was super excited about. This one was probably my favorite book by her. I think I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Let me just double check. 4.5 out of 5. I love this one. It is, check your trigger warnings for this one, as I should have said for a lot of the other ones like Butcher and Blackbird. Definitely check trigger warnings. But this one for sure, I really, really enjoyed this. I didn't see the twists and turns in this, but definitely probably my favorite one so far. So definitely good. So the last 2 that I have were audiobooks. The first one was called Mary. This was by Nat Cassidy, and it was my second 5-star read of this summer. And it was an audiobook for me. Absolutely blew my mind. The way that this character is portrayed, the fact that it's a female main character portrayed as a like peri or like menopausal woman and written by a man, and he portrayed it completely to a T. It was absolutely amazing. Now it did have some twists and turns, and it is very strange, kind of not gory, but deals with mental health issues. So just make sure that you check your warnings for that. But it was a 5-star read for me because I listened to it on audio. I believe that is why I felt the way I did about it. So highly, highly recommend that one. My last one of July was Red Rising, the first book in that series. I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was very good for me. Again, the sci-fi world is a little bit different, but it kind of opened my eyes to that series. So I think I may continue with that one, but we'll see. Then we started in August. I started with the second audiobook in the Devil's Night series, which is Hideaway by Penelope Douglas. This one I gave a 4. Again, same kind of thing. Very, very disturbing, but very spicy. It's one of those that you kind of have to, I would say, I don't know if you can check your trigger warnings on this because there's not like a whole lot of trigger warning, but it's very spicy, but kind of gross. I don't know how to explain it any easier than that, but it's kind of is disturbing, but I really enjoyed it. And then my second book, and probably something that's been on my TBR for the longest time, and I've been very scared to pick it up because if you look at the size of this, it's half the size of my head. but it was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This was the first book that I have read by her. So I made it through, and I actually then listened to it on audio simultaneously because I don't really know. Like, I heard that this is one of the best ones to read on or to listen to on audio. So I made the jump and did that, and I'm really glad I did. I feel like you can feel so much more of the emotion in books when you are listening to them because the characters kind of portray that. So anyways, I am done this. I gave this one a 4.75. I loved this book. There was a couple of spots, very tiny spots, that I kind of just felt like kind of repeated or kind of just like dragged along a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, 4.75 out of 5 for me for sure. The next book I picked up was not something that I have ever heard anybody talk about on any platform really. And this was a little tiny, almost like I read it in one sitting, but it's called What We Owe. And I'm not going to attempt to say her name, but I will show you. Okay. I gave this I think this was a 5-star for me as well. Yes, it was a very moving story about a family who was shipped to another country. The mom goes through a battle of her own with cancer, and it just kind of goes through the perspective of her going through her cancer journey, and it's really moving. I really loved this book. And again, super tiny. I read it in one sitting, just loved everything about it. I picked this up at one of our thrift stores, and I kind of just fell in love with the cover of it. And I just, yeah, it was one of those that I just caught my eye, and I'm glad I did because it was a 5-star read for me. And then the last couple of books that I have on here are the last physical book that I finished reading was In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. This one I gave a 3.5 out of 5. I really liked it, but again, I'm starting to, I think, learn that when books are based around like teenage children or like in their early 20s, it kind of throws me off a little bit. I don't know why, but this didn't really have any like smutty scenes or anything like that. It was basically just kind of like a murder between friends, and they were just trying to solve it. And it was really good. But again, I think it's just that age that makes it a little bit weird for me. So 3.5 out of 5. It was still really good. Again, another thrift store find. So I'm finding some real good books in our thrift stores. And the last one that I had read in the month of August was Project Hail Mary. I heard a lot about this, so I decided to read this on audio, and this is kind of where it stuck. So I gave this one a 4, I think it was. No, 3.5. For me, it was, yeah, it's a yes for me, but it was a very different type of book. It basically followed this astronaut who wakes up in space, learns that he is not in fact an astronaut. He was a teacher. He meets an alien friend who helps him get through, and there's a lot of twists and turns. It's very cute at the end. I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it because it was a space theme, but anyways, I ended up really liking it. So that is it for my reading wrap up for this summer. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was very weird for me to be in front of the camera instead of just my hands. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more like this, please let me know. I'm getting more comfortable, I guess, or I guess I'll have to get more comfortable in front of the camera if you guys want me to continue to do this. But stay tuned for my next set of reading wrap up at the end of September, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye guys.